Spring has sprung for 2022, so it's time to take a look at a fresh list of comics you can add to your collection on a $50 budget. Let's go. This video is brought to you by MySlabs.com. We're going to have more on them later. Let's start this list off with one of the most depressing comics I've ever read. If you're having too good of a day and you need to be brought down a notch or two, then pick up a copy of Walking Dead number 48, our number 10 issue. Published in April of 2008, this Robert Kirkman and Charlie Adlard issue of The Walking Dead was the issue we all talked about before issue 100 came out. Chances are some Walking Dead character you cared about died a grisly and horrible death in this issue, and if you've never read The Walking Dead, I recommend picking it up and checking it out. The comics are really so much better than the show. As for The Walking Dead 48, a copy of this one will only cost you $50 and a small piece of your soul after you read it. Way back in 2014, a little movie called Guardians of the Galaxy hit the big screen. At the time, most people didn't know much about the Guardians. They were never really stars of the Marvel Universe, and the team has been composed of many different characters over the years. The team we saw on the big screen most closely resembled the team we first saw in Annihilation Conquest number 6, our number 9 book. Published in June 2008, this issue features a story from Dan Abnett with interior art from Tom Rainey. The Guardians team seen in this issue consists of Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket Raccoon, and Groot, as we saw in the movie, but with a few extra members in Kazar and Adam Warlock. After a bit of drama delayed Guardians Volume 3, the team has fallen out of the spotlight for the moment, which has helped this book become a bit easier on the budget. You can pick up a copy of this one for right around $40 based on the average price of recent sales. If powerhouse creative teams and 90s comics are things that interest you, you will be hard-pressed to find a better combination of the two than our number 8 book, Spawn number 9, the Newsstand edition. Published in March 1993, Spawn 9 has both Todd McFarlane cover and interior art, but the script for the issue was provided by Neil Gaiman, who was still in the heart of his critically acclaimed Sandman series at the time he introduced the heavenly but deadly Angela, along with other well-known supporting cast members Cogliostro and Medieval Spawn. The effort would wind up spurring legal action as Gaiman sued McFarlane in 2002 over co-ownership of the characters. Nearly a decade later, the court would rule in Gaiman's favor, awarding him a 50% interest in those characters' copyrights. A direct edition copy of Spawn 9 can be had for about $10 to $12 or less if you're patient and you can find the right deal. However, like several other early issues of Spawn, the Newsstand edition of Spawn 9 brings a notable premium, coming in right at the $50 mark on average for raw high-grade copies. Sometimes a villain we associate with one character shows up for the first time in a completely unrelated book. Such is the case for our number 7 book, Daredevil number 111, which is the first appearance of the Silver Samurai. Commonly associated with Wolverine specifically and the X-Men, Silver Samurai makes his debut in the July 1974 issue of Daredevil. The story, which is titled Sword of the Samurai, was scripted by Steve Gerber of Howard the Duck fame and was drawn by Bob Brown. One of the few events happening between the Silver Age and Frank Miller in the Daredevil title, this issue is generally the missing issue when you're thumbing through a run of early to mid-70s Daredevil books. Averaging just over our $50 budget at $55 for a raw high-grade copy, a little patience will put this thing in your collection for our allotted budget. Thanks for watching the content. If you're getting value out of this top 10 comics on a $50 budget video, then click the like button and let YouTube know. Imagine having it all and then losing it all. This is what happened to Michael Holt. Holt was a genius, a gold medal winning athlete, and rich, but a chain of unfortunate events had him at his wit's end until he was visited by the Spectre in our number 6 book, Spectre number 54. Published in June 1997, the story titled The Haunting of Jim Corrigan Part 3 was written by John Ostrander and was drawn by Tom Mandrake. In this issue, the Spectre tells the story of the original Mr. Terrific, which inspires Holt to take up the mantle of Mr. Terrific for himself. The Spectre 54 is the most valuable issue in this entire volume, currently selling for an average of $50. If you're looking for a noteworthy, modern DC book to add to your collection, then this book is a great option for you. Are you looking for a new online marketplace to buy and sell comics, sports cards, and more? Then head over to MySlabs.com. MySlabs has just expanded into raw comic and card sales, expanding their focus beyond just slabbed or graded items. Do you want to know more? Let's check out the latest from MySlabs.com.
The platform designed by collectors for collectors just got even better. MySlabs.com is proud to now feature dedicated sections for both raw cards and raw comic books. Browse over 100,000 slab collectibles, authenticated by the industry's most trusted grading companies. Then check out a massive selection of sealed wax and now raw singles and raw lots. Join a passionate, no-nonsense community of nearly 50,000 members and enjoy some of the best buyer and seller protection in the business. And as always, MySlabs offers one of the most disruptive pricing models in the hobby, with seller fees as low as only 1%. So the next time you're forced to pay 10%, 20%, or more to sell something from your collection, head over to MySlabs.com, the low-fee marketplace by collectors for collectors.
Thank you to MySlabs.com for sponsoring this video. It's not very often that I recommend reprints on my top 10 lists. The number 5 book on this list is a rare example of that. Coming in at the number 5 position is Marvel Tales 106. Marvel Tales 106 is the first ever reprint of Amazing Spider-Man 129, the first appearance of the Jackal, and that guy named Frank that goes by the Punisher. Published in August 1979, the most compelling part of this issue is that it features the original cover of ASM 129, but with one standout difference. The background color has been changed to a bright red. As much as the original background color pops, the Gil Kane and John Romita cover art looks just as good, if not even a little bit better, with that bright red background. Currently bringing an average sales price of $40 for a raw, high-grade copy, this is a must-have issue for any Punisher fan. Our number 4 book includes one of the more unusual stories of the Bronze Age. In Firestorm, the Nuclear Man #1, young Ronnie Raymond was trying to impress a girl who is equally affected by alliteration named Doreen Day. Raymond winds up at a nuclear power plant that a local group of unsavory individuals is planning to blow up. In typical comic book fashion, when something bad happens and radiation is involved, crazy things transpire. In this case, young Ronnie Raymond and a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, Martin Stein, wind up being fused together to form the hero Firestorm as the exploding nuclear power plant engulfs them. Published in March 1978 from the creative team of Jerry Conway and Al Milgrom, Firestorm's first series was short-lived as it was canceled in the DC implosion in late 1978 after only 5 issues. The debut of Firestorm is currently averaging sales of $50 for a raw, high-grade copy and is a quirky DC book that shouldn't be too difficult for you to track down. The release of the Disney Plus Moon Knight series is just days away at the time of recording this video. With that in mind, it would be pretty weird not to include a pick featuring the Fist of Khonshu. Our number 3 book is Marvel Spotlight number 29. Published in August 1976, this Doug Minch story was illustrated by Don Perlin. You might recognize this creative team as the original creators of Moon Knight from back in Werewolf by Night 32, which was released just 1 year prior to this issue of Marvel Spotlight. The second of 2 consecutive issues which featured solo Moon Knight stories, the character would have a few guest appearances in the coming years before eventually landing the backup story spot in the Hulk magazine series beginning in 1978. While Marvel Spotlight 28 has seen significant gains in value in recent years, issue 29 has seen more modest changes in value. Recently moving up to the $50 mark for high-grade copies, this issue isn't as sexy as Werewolf by Night 32, Marvel Spotlight 28, or Moon Knight #1, but it does have the edge over those issues in one important category: affordability. If you're getting value out of this video, do me a favor and hit the like button. Likes, comments, and when you share out our content, all let YouTube know that you enjoy our videos. I had so much fun talking about Hellboy in my last top 10 comics list that I thought I'd do it again in this one. Coming in the number 2 spot is Hellboy: Seed of Destruction number 1. Serving as one of the contributing stories behind the plot of the 2004 Hellboy film, Seed of Destruction was the first Hellboy miniseries to be released. Published in March 1994, this Hellboy story maintains a consistent creative team with his prior appearances, as you get a whole lot of Mike Mignola with a little side of John Byrne. The primary selling point for this issue, other than essentially it being the first issue of Hellboy, is that for the first time we learn the origins of Big Red. Sneaking in just below our $50 budget, high-grade copies of Hellboy: Seed of Destruction number 1 are currently selling for $45 on average. Topping the spring 2022 top 10 comics on a $50 budget list is another Guardians of the Galaxy tie-in, Avengers number 257. Avengers 257 features the first appearance of the character Nebula, who has been prominently featured in not just the first 2 Guardians of the Galaxy films, but also in the most recent Avengers installments. Published in July 1985, Nebula's debut was scripted by Roger Stern and drawn by John Buscema. Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn has stated in an interview back in the fall of 2021 that Nebula and Mantis would both play significant roles in the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Interestingly enough, Avengers 257 remains the most affordable debut issue of any of the members of Guardians of the Galaxy. Despite Nebula's importance to the MCU up to this point, her first appearance in Avengers 257 still sells for less than $50, coming in at $45 on average in the current market. This price point is one of my favorites to watch. $50 is such a transitory value. Books are constantly moving up to the $50 level, and simultaneously other books are moving back down to $50 as they fall out of favor in the market. But the best part about $50 books is that they are accessible to nearly every collector in the hobby. Don't get me wrong, 4-figure books are great, $500 books are a lot of fun too, but not everybody in the hobby can participate at those levels. If you want to keep up with Como Comic Books, subscribe to the channel, follow us over on Instagram for even more comic book content, and check us out over on Whatnot for some live sales in addition. Thank you once again to MySlabs.com for sponsoring this video. If you enjoyed the video, check out this other recent top 10 comics list up here, or swing by our top 10 comics playlist that has more than 30 videos for you to dive into. Happy hunting out there, and don't forget to collect responsibly. I'll see you in the next video.